Hello, this is Danielle Yawowiecka with the BBC News. The United States is to release 50 million barrels of oil from its strategic reserves to try to bring down energy prices. The move was coordinated with the governments of China, Japan, South Korea, Britain and India. President Biden said the US couldn't afford to wait for oil prices to drop.
We're taking action. The big part of the reason Americans are facing high gas prices is because oil-producing countries and large companies have not ramped up the supply of oil quickly enough to meet the demand. And the smaller supply means higher prices globally.
The announcement has been criticised by Republicans. Their leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy, said it was a crass political ploy. Analysts say the move's effect on prices is likely to be short-lived because of the strong global recovery from the pandemic. A federal jury in the United States has found that 3 retail pharmacy chains helped fuel an opioid epidemic in 2 districts in the state of Ohio. The court in Cleveland concluded that CVS, Walgreens and Walmart had behaved recklessly by oversupplying addictive painkillers. It's up to a federal judge to decide how much compensation the firms owe. Lawyers representing Lake and Trumbull counties have said the costs are potentially $1 billion for each area. The US Africa envoy has warned escalating fighting in Ethiopia threatens diplomatic progress towards a ceasefire. Jeffrey Feltman said the government and rebels thought they were on the cusp of victory. He said a rebel attack on the capital, Addis Ababa, would be catastrophic. As fighters from the Tigray People's Liberation Front advance on the city, the United Nations is evacuating the families of its international staff from Ethiopia. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa called for an end to the year-long war.
There is an urgent need for all parties to the conflict to commit to an immediate, indefinite, and negotiated ceasefire and an all-inclusive political dialogue.
After a day of talks in Tehran aimed at salvaging the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, the head of the UN nuclear watchdog has said he's seeking common ground. The IAEA's chief, Rafael Grossi, made the remarks following his first face-to-face meeting with new Iranian government officials. Mike Thompson reports.
Mr Grossi met the country's new foreign minister, Hossein Amir Abdollahian, who urged the IAEA to avoid taking political positions. The US abandoned the 2015 deal, which gave Iran sanctions relief in return for curbs on its nuclear program 3 years ago. Washington warned recently that Iran was reaching the point of no return for reviving the deal, while Tehran has insisted that all US sanctions must first be lifted.
BBC News. Apple says it's suing the Israeli cyber firm NSO Group and its parent company for allegedly targeting users with spyware. The tech giant said it was taking action to ban NSO from using Apple services or devices. The Israeli company is facing international criticism after reporters obtained a list of alleged potential targets for its Pegasus spyware, including activists, politicians and journalists. The European Commission says it'll impose sanctions on the Belarusian airline Belavia and other companies it accuses of helping to traffic migrants to the EU via Belarus. The proposal is expected to be approved in the coming days. Here's Jessica Parker.
The Commission says that there are transport operators who, knowingly or unknowingly, have helped traffic people to Belarus, migrants who then made their way to the EU's border and were left to camp out in cold and squalid conditions. The Commission is proposing countermeasures that could see firms linked to such activities banned from expanding or even operating in EU territory. The Belarusian leader, Alexander Lukashenko, has been accused of orchestrating the recent crisis in retaliation for sanctions. Mr. Lukashenko has denied inviting migrants into Belarus, but says his forces may have helped people cross into Poland.
One of China's best-known fashion photographers has apologised following a row about how she depicted a Chinese model. Chun Man was accused of pandering to Western stereotypes in a photograph of the French fashion firm Dior. In a social media post, she said in future she'd tell China's story better. Beijing routinely pressures artists into conforming to the authorities' worldview. A rare manuscript showing calculations made by Albert Einstein as he tried to formulate his general theory of relativity has sold at auction in Paris for more than $13 million. It's one of only 2 documents showing his workings on one of the seminal breakthroughs in modern physics. That's the latest BBC News.